I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, I started reading their writing.
The argument about women not voting is quite complex. It's quite complex. But if you take your emotions aside and look at it holistically, you can understand why someone would say that. But it's also obvious why women would want to vote. Yeah.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control.
All right. So what do you think? Do you think women should vote or not? What do you think? How do you think female votes have affected the political system? Tell me what you think in the comments. Yeah.
3 women has had the most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had one out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
What do you think about all these things she has said? Do you think these are problems, or do you think she's making a problem out of nothing? Or maybe you think, so what? Yeah, it's an interesting argument she's making.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you would be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends.
You notice how they always say of everything he says, of everything they say, like it's so stupid, There's no person in this world that agrees 100% with anything someone else says, unless you're like a machine, like a robot. No one agrees with everything another person says. It's just stupid every time with everything he says. Dumb.
Depends what we're a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about. But overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. Before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
What's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility.
I think the argument she missed there, based on what she was saying, I thought she was going to say when women have the right to vote, it brings politics into the family. Maybe the husband is voting for A and the wife is voting for B. It can be a point of stress in the family. It can cause chaos in the family, and it means political opinions become. The home is no longer a safe place, according to her argument, maybe. So this can be one thing. Another argument could be that men are required by law to fight and die for their country. So if women are allowed to vote, then women could vote for policies that maybe are not really what are in the interest of men, and men would have to fight and die defending those policies that they didn't vote for. Do you get the point? So I thought this was going to be an argument. And when she brought up family, I thought she was going to talk about, it could cause strife in the family because the women are voting and the man is voting. Just this kind of excuses, I think. I thought this was what she was going to say. But yeah, the argument about women not voting is quite complex. It's quite complex. But if you take your emotions aside and look at it holistically, you can understand why someone would say that. But but it's also obvious why women would want to vote. Yeah.
Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped.
Oh, she brought up those points I talked about. Oh, all right. I'll give her credit.
No, do you know what it's
I
sort of like?
know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean,
allegedly? What do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they were. That's incorrect. The first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it
and
was.
She never inherited that.
Yes, she did not
and
inherit it.
What law permitted that?
What
law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
This lady believes that no women were influential in the 60s and in the 80s. It's crazy when you think about how powerful women were in history. You think of Cleopatra in Egypt. Like, women have always had a way, even without the right to vote. Women have always had their way in society, of course. Now, the topic of if women were oppressed in history, it's subjective, depending on what you think oppression is. Yeah, but I would say, let's say, women have gotten much more rights now, and they have everything they would ever need now. So I really wonder what the fight is, what they are fighting for now, I guess. Because now they've gotten everything they needed.
Don't understand is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
Your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't
Care
made
about
the point
women
yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then okay.
All right, I'll admit, just barely things. Her whole brand is really bent around just shitting on women. Yeah, sadly. I think she could do more with her brand. She could expand it. She could be more flexible. But her rigid stance, her stance are so rigid. It begins to. It becomes a kind of a turn off. Yeah. So I hope she could be more flexible in the future. I hope she could do more with her brand than just shitting on women.
I love misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, but I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely
That's
not.
a
You,
bit-
no, but you
Wow.
said you were
Wow.
wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do
strength.
those
I don't have
jobs.
more strength
But
than
I'm
the
not going
average
to take your
man.
right away to
I don't
do
have
it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be
That's
equal.
But you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
All right, I have to disagree. All right, I don't support divorce. I don't support any of these things. But I really hope people could live together for the rest of their lives and live in la la land. But this is not reality. A lot of things could happen. A lot of partners could change drastically. A lot of traumatic events could happen in the course of marriage.
That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is it all
8
down to the
years.
women?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
Why
But
feminists?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
that first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us
But
part.
doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly
There's-
about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage,
I
then
think,
I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't.
Oh, I like this feminist. She knows how to make her point, and she's so girly, and she just makes her point smiley, like she meant no offense by it. You're not a virgin, so you could have told him you couldn't be married. She says it's like she means no harm. Oh, I'm not trying to offend you, but this is the fact. All right, this feminist is cool. Oh, I can't believe I would say that. I don't care for feminists, but this feminist seems to be a little bit balanced. Yeah, she admitted she doesn't have the strength, which most feminists these days would swear by God and everything they care about that they could do as good as men in everything, or if not better in anything a man could do, they would do it better. But she admitted she doesn't have the strength of a man, which is good. So it means maybe she has a more balanced view of the world.
don't actually live by.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was, but we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think.
And they should abide by
Hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage, jumping. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
So she's perfectly entitled to her views.
yeah, but you
You
can't.
might not like
But
them.
I'm here to
But
challenge.
isn't she
them.
exercising her right as are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil.
Feminism didn't start as a push for equality. Right now, these days, feminism is, I'm as good as a man. I can do everything a man can do. But in the past, I remember when I was a kid, my mom was reading some feminist book on feminism and everything. But the whole idea was, hey, don't look down on our roles in society. We are equally as important as men. We might not do the things you do, but we are important. This was the message of feminism. Don't look down on us. We are as good as you. We just have different roles. But nowadays it's, we are equal. Don't you dare treat us like we're different. We are same as you. You see how the message has changed from, hey, we are different, but we are equally as important. It became, we are exactly the same. There is no difference between us. Now, tell me which one is more appealing to you. Just say the truth. And basically the whole we are the same is basically anti-women. If you said you're the same as a man, it means you're rejecting to be a woman. It means that you're looking at womanhood and, the female nature as inferior to the male nature, which is totally wrong and stupid and counterproductive to what it is you want to push in society, maybe.
oil rig hiring. There is an engineer.
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on
No,
oil rig.
seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me,
Paul,
I'm saying
the same
Paul,
job that
when you
I'm
get-
doing right
When
now.
you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live.
But how do you
by.
know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, like women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
All right, you have to admit she's right on that part. People leave for flimsy excuses. There are some worst case scenarios, some really situations where, the woman just have to up and leave. There's no point staying in the relationship. But these days, most divorces are caused by stupid, like really absurd reasons, things that could be easily worked out. And you leave and you try to start over again, trying to find the grass greener somewhere else. Basically, people are just chasing little sparks of happiness, and that's it's a trap. You would never find it. You end up old and miserable if you all you do is hop around looking for a jolt, a spark in happiness, a spike in happiness. Your life would be miserable. Yeah, she's right on that. Hey, you have to give her credit.
But I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate, where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency. So I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand.
I'd like to
what
say,
I don't
even before the
understand.
1920s,
Do you know what I mean?
women could speak openly. This idea that like women couldn't talk the last 500 years, there have been women
I know,
throughout
but the
history
American state
that have
education
been-
system has
that
failed
have
before,
has
and it's
been-
failing
has
now.
there have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea like women could never do it.
Do you know
don't
what
believe
I
it.
don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have
Are they
abortions,
fat?
you say that
Are
they
they
have
fat?
STDs.
The question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds.
Yeah, I get the point the feminist is trying to make. Like, yeah, she could make an argument, but why does she go around calling women all sorts of bad names, treating them with disdain? Yeah, that's a good point. But I guess she does that just for the clicks, and maybe she's just trying to milk the outrage as much as she can. And that's counterproductive, It just discredits you as a person if all you do is try to milk outrage, try to say outrageous things like women are fat. But so women are fat, so are men. Just like there are fat women, there are skinny women. There are women with STDs, there are women without STDs. It's just, there's no point in saying women have STDs, this, that. But I guess maybe she's doing it. Maybe she's kind of, let's just imagine she's sick of society as it is. She's sick of women being below standards per se. And she's just calling it out, trying to make women get better. Yeah, but I guess women don't work that way. Maybe this could work for men if you just call out their bullshit every day and they could try to get better. But for women, I think this just pisses them off. It makes them angry. I think there are different ways to communicate with women to make them change their ways. And just calling them names is not going to work. I don't know. Based on my experience, I think it never works to just call a woman names. All right.
Pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in
and
that.
this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive?
Well,
it's nonsense.
We're not
Oh yes, this is one really funny part of society now. Morbidly obese women are celebrated, and you know who I'm talking about. There's so many celebrated morbidly obese women, and women just pretend like this is like it's beautiful, like it's cool, and they're not doing themselves any good. They're not doing the women around them any good. They're not doing the obese women any good. And yeah, it's just gonna, now just imagine a young girl, she's getting fat and fat, and she sees women online praising these really fat and unhealthy women. What do you think she's gonna think? She's gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm beautiful. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. She wouldn't try to change. And basically she would go down a path that would destroy her life, because let's just face the fact, more really fat women don't get good relationships, you know. It's a special kind of man that would be with a really obese woman. You know, let's just face the fact. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So they end up unhappy because of, you know, everyone around them seems to think it's a good thing, while in reality it is not.
Talking about morbidly obese, I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women, we don't want to live in reality. We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Okay, I'm going to have to objectively...
And she insulted me first. They always do.
I'm going to have to objectively end the debate, but it's an interesting conversation. I think we should get you two back together as a matter of urgency. Thank you very much, Pearl. Thank you, Ava.
All right, that was an interesting convo. Yeah, Piers Morgan tried his best to be a good moderator, and the women were more civil than I realized. Looking at the comments on the video, I thought they were just throwing balls at each other. But yeah, it was a civil conversation. They both make interesting points. I agreed with some of the points the feminists made, and I agree with a lot of the points just barely things made. But I don't agree with her just making it a career, just going around saying hurtful things about women online. Yeah, it's not sustainable, I guess, if you just have to rely on outrage. It's not sustainable. I think she's smart enough to do better with her brand. I hope she does. Yeah, all right, let's go. Tell me what you think. Do you think women should vote? What do you think about the whole discussion, the whole debate? Yeah, hey, like and subscribe. Thank you. Till next time.